Hello again. The disc graphs are not the only illustrated representation of an individual's assessment outcome. This video will provide you with tips on reading our TTI Success Insights wheel. The wheel was developed to give you a visual representation of your natural and adapted styles.
TTI was first to utilize a wheel page to plot DISC. Its proven value is in its ability to increase the overall understanding of the DISC report, decreasing the time it takes to train someone on DISC and reducing the requirement of graph reading. In application, we often use this wheel in terms of group or team contributions in the workplace, but you will see that these behavioral characteristics display themselves in personal scenarios as well. At first glance, the wheel may seem simplistic. It's divided into 8 segments, each associated with a descriptive term, falling into the categories of D, DI, I, IS, S, SC, C, and CD. However, upon closer look, there are actually 60 sections included on the wheel that each hold meaning.
60 sections can seem overwhelming, so let's start with those 8 segments. The characteristics illustrated in the 8 wheel segments include the conductor, tends to be direct, decisive, and seeks results. The persuader tends to convince others by appealing to reason, understanding, or emotion. The promoter tends to verbalize many thoughts to influence outcomes. The relator tends to take time, think positively, and focus on interpersonal relationships. The supporter tends to be the champion of sound ideas, working steadily and diligently to ensure a project is fully realized. The coordinator tends to be fact-oriented and adheres to proven methods to complete projects and tasks. The analyzer tends to seek out accuracy in all activities and ensure the highest quality possible by gathering precise data. And finally, the implementer tends to assess, leverage facts and figures, and advance toward a solution.
Great insight, Tom. I guess that leaves me with the task of describing the 60. They actually represent the 60 most common graphs. A person's high primary and secondary behavior dictates which of the 8 segments they will fall into. But how do we know which level within the segment to place them? This is determined based on the general makeup of your graph. The outer ring is plotted if the graph is either a pure style with only one factor above the energy line, or if it contains 2 factors that are equally high or similar. This includes sections 1 through 8. The second ring, or sections 9 through 24, is plotted if there are 2 factors above the energy line, but one is distinctly higher. In this ring, the opposite factor is always below the energy line. For example, if it is the conductor segment, or the D quadrant, the S will always be below the energy line in this ring. The third ring introduces a third factor above the energy line. This includes sections 25 through 40. At this level, you might start to see a little less conviction and more flexibility towards the descriptors of each segment, with 3 factors to choose from. As the second ring, the opposite factor will always be below the energy line.
I'll take the last 2. The fourth circle, or sections 41 through 56, begins what we call the across ring. Rings 3 and 4 are very similar in that they have 3 factors above the energy line. However, the opposite factor, or the factor from across the wheel, is included above the energy line also. For example, section 42 is a D, S, and C above the energy line with a low I. The S and the low I begin to pull that D individual away from the conductor behavior and toward a supportive behavior, which would be identified as an across plot. The center ring, sections 57 through 60, represents a similar across pull, but again includes graphs with only 2 factors above the energy line. These 4 sections would potentially, emphasis on potentially, be a me-me conflict.
That was a lot of valuable information, which might require a few replays of this video to really understand each point. I wanted to visit something Tom mentioned earlier. The wheel is an amazing tool that provides insight, not only into what behavioral characteristics an individual will display, but also offers a view of opposing characteristics. This becomes invaluable when describing communication preferences and also distribution of roles at home or in the workplace. In a sense, it turns the 4 DISC styles into 8 characteristics.
That's right. The inclusion of the common combinations helps add even more depth to those of us with graphs outside of a pure style. Another great feature of the wheel is that we not only include the natural style as a circle, but the adapted style as a star as well. This aids in identifying graph disparity and other ways in which you might find yourself struggling between your personal and professional life.
The wheel is also a great tool to plot 2 or more people and start the conversation of how they might communicate and work together. Imagine how your work team might be represented on the wheel. Where do you fall in respect to your team leader or manager? You might start to spot trends of team members adapting to their style to the leader's style, or you might see them adapting away to complement the leader's style.
You can also use the wheel to see how well your natural style aligns with your job. Some people have a tendency to adapt toward the job or away from the job, just as some people do toward or away from a leader, as Cassandra mentioned before.
It goes to show what you can learn about behavior and adaptation just from reading the Success Insights wheel. We appreciate your time in learning more about how to read the wheel.
If you have further questions, refer to your support materials for help.
Thank you.